Let's get into the hoops. Let's talk basketball, man. The NBA starts tomorrow. I feel like it came around real quickly. We got the champions, the Boston Celtics, getting their rings against the New York Knicks, and then you got in the second game. We're getting, like I said earlier, we're getting bludgeoned with Laker talk. All right, we're gonna get a whole bunch of Bronny. Look, King Griffey Jr. Senior in the crowd. We're gonna get a lot of that in the second half. But let's specifically talk about the Eastern Conference first.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to you first, Pavy. What kind of stands out to you about the Eastern Conference? I feel like for the first time in a long time, this is the no doubt superior conference this year compared to the West. What do you think of some top stories that stand out to you, Pav, and who would be like the contenders out the East?
Contenders. I guess I'll start with contenders. Contenders. I think Celtics, obviously. I think Knicks. I'm interested in the Bucks. I don't know if I want to necessarily call them contenders, but again, you do have. I saw Dame. I think it was Jeff T's pod or somebody pod, and he was like he didn't even work out all summer last year because he didn't want to get hurt. So you have Dame for a full year, coming into camp. Hopefully he's, obviously he's probably healthy this time. And again, you actually get a camp. I forget that last year he did get traded like a week before. It was like so late. It wasn't in the summer. It was like September, I think, when he got traded last year. So you got him. I'm really excited to watch the Pacers. A full year of Siakam. Also, Benedict Mathurin was hurt during the playoff run. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited for the Magic. There's so many teams that I'm excited about in the Eastern Conference. So I think it'll be a good season. I think we have a lot of teams, like I said, that I'm excited about. But if I had to, I'm not a betting person, but if I had to bet, I know everybody has like Knicks hype right now, and Knicks which they do look great. They did. I think they had probably the best offseason out of anybody acquiring Cat for whatever reason. I know Cat has his moments where he does whatever he does, but at the same time, bro, that's still 20 points and 10 rebounds pretty much every night. There's not many centers in the league better than Cat. But if I had to put some money on something, I'm still gonna pick the Boston Celtics. I know KP is out to start the season, but I still feel like even though they won a championship, they still have a lot to prove because people look at that ring and say, "Oh, you didn't really play anybody." I mean, Jason Tatum, the man couldn't even get off the bench for the Team USA, and he just won a ring. Like, how many times do you see the person who's on a team that won a ring literally can't get off the bench for his country? So I think they still have many things to prove. So if I had to put money on somebody coming out the East early on, barring injury, I would say the Boston Celtics.
Wise, man, what you think about, I want to get your opinion on the Knicks trade. I know I saw a little bit what you said on your pod about it, but what do you think about the Knicks and should they, obviously got the Celtics, but how much more seriously should we take the Knicks, and what other things are you looking for in the Eastern Conference?
I mean, I think the Knicks, you got to take them seriously in the sense that they are laser focused on the Celtics. They're like, all right, this is obviously the best team in our conference. And if we want to do anything serious, we have to beat them. And they geared their roster construction around beating the Celtics. And what do we mean by that? Obviously, the Celtics are, one of the most hyper potent teams offensively in the NBA. And it starts with their two dynamic wings in Tatum and Brown. And the Knicks were like, all right, we already got OG Anunoby. Why don't we get the other premier wing stopper in the NBA and get Mikal Bridges? So, that's what the matchup is in terms of, one-on-one, put them on an island against Tatum and Brown. And not to say they're going to put them in a, straight jacket. But I think if the Celtics are like, yeah, we're just going to isolate those two guys over and over against the Knicks' two best perimeter defenders, that's inefficient Celtics offense, honestly, when you compare it to what they're able to get to when all five guys are involved, right? So I think the Knicks, they did that. And I think the Knicks understood last year that offensively, they were so freaking Jaylen Brown-centric in terms of creating every single opportunity last year. This year, they're like, you know what? Jaylen Brown's going to be the focal point, but we're going to pair that with Towns and that pick and roll action. That'll be their primary action all year. And hey, they're going to get a lot of great offenses out of that action. Out of Towns on the pick and pop. Towns has made himself into a nice, high-low player, so you can do a lot of the DHO type of stuff with Towns this year. OG and Mikal Bridges, their whole careers have been, second side, attack closeouts, take the wide open threes when they're given to you. Not like, Bridges got miscast as some like fake ass number one option on Brooklyn last year. He's not that, but he's not going to be asked to that to be that, in New York. And I think Karl Towns, he hasn't always been the greatest shot creator, but again, as the second option in terms of creating for himself, I think he's well cast in that role. The only problem for the Knicks is one, depth. Right now, it feels like they have their starting five, Deuce McBride, and I guess you could say Precious Achiuwa as their main rotational pieces. Like, a bunch of niggas talking to me about Landry Shamet last week. He's already gone. They already had to cut his ass. The depth is going to be an issue, but I love that they said, yo, we're laser focused on Boston. We don't take Philly seriously because their two best guys are constantly hurt.
Yeah,
bro.
You got Paul George.
And B said, I don't see myself playing back-to-backs for the rest of my career. What are we doing, bro?
Paul George left Kawhi for bigger Kawhi. Like that's all he did in this situation.
He openly said, I'm not gonna play back-to-backs for the rest of my career. What are we doing, bro?
That's crazy.
What are we doing, bro?
And the Bucks, they just weren't as good as we thought they were last year. And I think the Knicks look at it because I think the Knicks, their lack of interior defense to me says we're not worried about Joel Embiid and we're not worried about Giannis, who is the biggest, best interior threat in the entire sport. And they just punted on the idea that they would be like, you know what? We're going to have girth and size to stop Giannis. They're like, nah, we're not worried about the Bucks, not worried about Philly. We're worried about the Boston Celtics, and we've constructed a roster that we think is, highly optimized to beat those dudes.
Yeah, and I think, too, like I said about this trade, I told Kaz this in hour one. I said this when the trade happened. I know New York sports fans, kind of like Chicago sports fans, we fall in love with the hard hat, lunch pail type players and Julius Randle. Like, look, though, I know that we can say whatever about Karl-Anthony Towns. The nigga can hoop. All right, like, I don't need my players to be super tough and shit. Like, my quarterback paints his nails. I don't give a fuck. Can you throw a fucking football? Can you get 20 points, 15 rebounds? This, to me, is the perfect match for them. When you got how Jalen Brunson plays the game, you already got Mikal Bridges. I think the only, threat I think would be for me is their health. Not to say that the Celtics aren't going to be a threat. The Celtics still going to be there no matter how much I think Jason Tatum is a player two ass nigga. He's still there. He's going to do his thing as well. But I do think that if you hear my dog in the background, I apologize. I'm going to shut this nigga up in a moment. But I do think that when it comes to the stories of the Eastern Conference, they're right there. I look at it as them and the Celtics. Pavy, what do you think of some things that the Knicks can do to get over that hump to actually beat them? There's one thing about being in the conversation with the Celtics. What can they do to actually beat them?
I just think camaraderie, playing well. Obviously you make the trade late, so you got to work it out through the season. Also, I think they have a little bit more depth than what people think because, again, you do have Josh Hart. Mitchell Robinson obviously is hurt. He's coming back. You have Precious. Hopefully, facts with him. Hopefully he's coming back. But really just, playing well, yo. Obviously, like you said, there was way too much on Brunson. I like Brunson. But at the end of the day, Brunson is still 6 feet, bro. Like, it's going to come a time where, like, you go just run up against somebody who's just going to be like, no. Like, literally, like, no, you're not going to do this. And if for them, health. Because, Tibbs got bodies on his record. So for them, health and getting there and being there and actually being able to, be healthy when that time comes. But again, like I said, it's still, if I had to put money on somebody, I'm still going to say the Boston Celtics. I don't think I've seen a champion in recent memory since, honestly, maybe going back to the Warriors in 14-15, who like won a championship and then still had so much to prove still. Like I said, the man Tatum get picked for the Olympics literally can't play. He's on the bench with Tyrese Halliburton. I love Tyrese Halliburton. I think Halliburton going to be one of the better guards for the next 10 years. But we talking about Jason Tatum, bro. Probably a top 5 player in the league. And even me saying that, I'm still saying probably, and the man just won a ring. Jaylen Brown didn't even want to get picked. So I think, like, obviously in like a perfect world, like just playing good. If you can, play defense against those two guys, slow them down. Tibbs, obviously great defensive coach, can figure something out. But in reality, I just would still put my money on the Boston Celtics, no matter what the Knicks did, if both teams came into a situation and were both healthy.
Yeah, I think if the Knicks are going to beat the Celtics, it's because they're junking up the game defensively, right? And what I mean by that is when the Celtics get you in rotation, you're freaking toast. When they get that ball ringing around the perimeter and they just wait till they find an open shooter because they're playing a legitimate 5-out, legitimately always have 5 dudes that can fire that thing from 3 with accuracy, you're finished. I think what the Knicks have to do is be like between Hart, between Bridges, between OG, they can be highly switchable and adaptable and turn the Celtics into a one-on-one team. And so again, like now you're junking up their beautiful precision-based offense and grinding it down, getting them into late clock possessions and making it ugly. Right. And then on the offensive end, like the Knicks just wasn't dynamic on offense. Like it just wasn't. And and we've all seen those Julius Randle triple jab step fadeaway 21-footers. That shit didn't work in the playoffs. No. Never has. It never will. And so they have a new, conception of who they can be on offense. So it's like, we're going to junk up the game on defense and we're going to do just enough offensively. We're going to be just competent enough offensively, because nobody thinks they're going to be like, like the 7 seconds less Suns or nothing crazy.
Yeah,
like
right, exactly.
They're not going to be the Splash Brother Warriors, right? Like nobody thinks that, but they're going to do just enough, sort of like the Bucks did when they won their championship, where they were just record setters on defense and were just barely good enough on offense. We're going to do just enough on offense, be a great defense, and get this thing rolling.
Triple double hat trick, I know the code too. Ice trade, go for trade, yeah we cold too. Getting paper on these player haters, old news. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so